Now, here was his response that he posted on X this morning.
The Democrats and the left-wing media have lost their minds.
It's like Mad Libs. It's Mad Libs. It's Mad Libs at this point. It's Mad Libs. You were approached by a constituent and he goes with the Democrats and the left-wing media. You forgot George Soros. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. I'm Reese Waters, and this is Who Raised Y'all, where we highlight those unique individuals going above and beyond to make society worse.
Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
You know, the kinds of people you'll see asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates.
I want to talk to the manager.
Indiana Senator Jim Banks, come on down.
More job cuts are on the way for federal workers at U.S. health agencies tonight. Officials at the Department of Health and Human Services reportedly starting to send emails letting employees know they'll soon be out of a job. The department says the cuts aren't a reflection of job performance and that they will mainly target, they say, positions in high-cost regions or those they deem as redundant. HHS saying last week that they'd be cutting 10,000 full-time jobs across multiple agencies on top of the 10,000 workers who have already left voluntarily.
Well, some of those already fired HHS employees gathered today in the Senate basement out in D.C., where they spotted Senator Jim Banks. One man asking Banks about his firing. Take a listen.
These are USAID workers.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude, that's
wow.
Yeah,
that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
That is what prompted "you deserve to get fired and you seem like a clown" asking about benefits, specifically for fired workers with disabilities. That is today's MAGA. He just told you exactly what it was. Now here's a question, because if he seems like a clown, right? He seemed like a clown. Why? Because he was following you around with the phone. So if he seems like a clown, then would that mean that Laura Loomer and them were clowns when they were following around Jasmine Crockett? Huh?
Hello, Congresswoman.
Horse manure. Well, that sounds like fun.
Wait, Congresswoman Crockett.
But it sounds...
Congresswoman Crockett, you were recently on a Tesla takedown call calling for violence on the 29th. Would you like to clarify your comments?
As you can see.
Congresswoman, will you condone violence at the Tesla?
Are we going to have any level of consistency? Were they clowns then? Because he followed her around much longer and harassed her much harder than you were, sir. In fact, the tone that he approached you with was pretty respectful. So would you go ahead and call them clowns then? Would they go ahead and be clowns? How about following around people who just survived, not even public officials, just citizens appearing in the nation's capital to talk about being survivors of a mass shooting? Would somebody following them around be clowns? Would you call, because Marjorie Taylor Greene would love to know. I mean, really, this one of the MAGA-isms that has really emerged in recent, the complete lack of any consistency. Like, I don't mean from one decade to the next or year to the next. I'm talking about month to the next and day to the next.
Well, to note, the courts have not made a ruling on the employee firing, so as of now, they're not illegal. But that question and video was taken by former HHS employee Mack Schroeder, who says he was actually the senator's answer was a little off-putting. We're going to be speaking with him tonight on News 8 at 10 and 11. We also got a response to the video from Senator Banks saying, quote,
I can't imagine how bad this is about to be. I mean, really. And the thing is, he was prepared because the fired workers had gathered there. This wasn't like a rogue, I'm just going to pee on Capitol Hill. He knew that they were there, and this is what he decided to say. Now, this is another thing, too. What makes him have deserved it? You know, would you say that all federal workers would have deserved their firing? Is that what you would say? Is it just HHS? Are those just the people that deserve their firing? Or how about this? Is it just the liberals? Is it just the liberals who deserved their firing? The people who have opposition to the current administration? Those people are the ones who deserve, the ones working alongside ones who apparently wouldn't have deserved it because they're MAGAs, right? I would love to know which federal workers deserve their firings and which didn't. How about the veterans? Did they deserve their firing?
Starting to think about maybe some of those veterans who worked for the federal government and maybe what the administration can do to at least help salvage their lives?
Well, as you know, we care about veterans tremendously. I mean, that's something the president has always cared about. Anybody in blue, anybody that serves this country. But at the same time, we have taxpayer dollars. We have a fiscal responsibility to use taxpayer dollars to pay people that actually work. That doesn't mean that we forget our veterans by any means. We are going to care for them in the right way, but perhaps they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not willing to come to work.
How about the people in West Virginia? Did they deserve their firing?
In Republican strongholds like Parkersburg, where the government-slashing efforts of Trump and Doge are beginning to hit home.
Elon Musk has basically taken over our government and has calling the shots, unfortunately, it seems to be.
I went to Washington to decrease the size and scope of the federal government. No one is entitled to a taxpayer-funded job, especially in positions that waste those funds. I fully support President Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency's mission to eliminate waste.
Now, what makes you think that funds were being wasted on his job? Because he asked you about benefits? Is that what means that funds were wasted on his job? Because would that mean that funds weren't wasted on the 99.9% of people that didn't ask you this question? Were funds not wasted on there? I would love to know. I would really love to know. Matter of fact, I would actually, because I know we gonna hear from you, and that's just gonna piss me off more. Let me hear from the worker.
That's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
The video sparking reactions on both sides of the aisle. Schroeder says he's been going to the Senate basement for weeks, not for him, but to find out what will happen to the people he can no longer serve.
Specifically, I was supporting programs in the Administration for Community Living that helped older adults and people with disabilities.
Schroeder says his firing came out of nowhere after the Department of Government Efficiency sent him an email Valentine's Day saying he wasn't meeting performance standards and no longer employed.
Despite having exceptional performance reviews. So it was just sent to thousands of people across the board. And then from there, after that weekend, I was locked out of my equipment and unable to work after that.
Schroeder says he specifically asked Senator Banks how he's going to help his Indiana constituents.
Since there's so many older adults and people with disabilities in every state, I know there are about, I believe, 700,000 people who will lose health services in Indiana from the cuts. I just wanted to speak with him about that. And then the elevator doors just closed, and I didn't get to speak with him after that.
After the video made the rounds on social media, Senator Jim Banks issued this statement, quote, I went to Washington to decrease the size and scope of the federal government. No one is entitled to a taxpayer-funded job, especially in positions that waste those funds. I fully support President Trump and the Department of Government Efficiency's mission to eliminate waste.
It felt like a very childish kind of attack. I was alarmed and I would say pretty disappointed just to know that he didn't have a response.
Schroeder says this is not a partisan issue because a key part of his job was finding and tracking down Medicare fraud. He says now with the HHS department shrinking, more fraud could happen.
I was a civil servant. I didn't get into this work to really push an agenda forward. And there are, as we know, many civil servants on both sides of the aisle. We serve constituents in Indiana that are part of both parties, just really making sure people get their needs met. And if those services aren't being provided, we're going to have a lot of people who are really upset because they've paid, their fair share in taxes and they're not getting what they're entitled to.
Imagine that. The guy whose job was to find Medicare fraud. He deserved it, right? Yeah, he definitely deserved it. Let's see what he had to say, because I know this about to be wild. No, because they don't take accountability for nothing. That is one thing we have learned. Donald Trump has made sure, and all of his sycophants doing their worst imitation of things only he can get away with, Donald Trump has ensured that when the story is told, you're going to have to throw the whole party away. That's what y'all did. Go ahead.
Senator Jim Banks says that he will not apologize for speaking the truth after calling a fired HHS employee who approached him in the Senate basement a clown, saying he deserved to lose his job. Now, here was his response that he posted on X this morning.
The Democrats and the left-wing media have lost their minds.
It's like Mad Libs. It's Mad Libs. It's Mad Libs at this point. It's Mad Libs. You were approached by a constituent, and he goes with the Democrats and the left wing. You forgot George Soros. You forgot. You go George Soros, and why don't you sprinkle in a Black Lives Matter there too? I mean, that don't apply neither. But sprinkle in a Black Lives Matter, or at least a DEI. Go ahead and throw that in there.
Because I told a left-wing activist in the halls of the Senate office buildings yesterday what I really thought.
What makes him a left-wing activist? What makes him a left-wing activist? That he lost his job and he asked you about benefits? That's what makes him a left-wing activist. I hope you're paying attention, Maga. Because the man who lost his job, who wanted to ask about his benefits and the benefits of people he support, magically become left-wing activists. They are telling you, not only do they not care what happens to you, they will characterize you as left-wing activists should you dissent or show any level of pain from the incompetence that they have unleashed on our national government. They've removed all agency away from you completely. I hope you're paying attention.
A clown is a clown who's chasing senators through the halls with a cell phone, complaining about losing a left-wing woke job in the federal government that should have never been a job to begin with.
That's interesting. It's a left-wing woke job because it sounds a lot like how you guys characterize Elon Musk's job, right? Chasing away and eliminating fraud and waste. It sounds a lot like Elon Musk's job. So that's a left-wing woke job. He is not going to like that. No, he's definitely not going to like that.
I won't back down. I won't apologize for it. I support President Trump and the Doge effort 100% to cut wasteful spending and woke jobs out of the federal government, and we're just getting started.
Indiana. Now, I understand. We've not spoken before, Indiana. Now, I understand that you are far more conservative a jurisdiction than typically we deal with in this space. I understand a lot of you guys just instinctively vote red. I understand that. I also understand there's a lot of land, and land loves Republicans. I have learned that.
If Donald Trump did win, it would be a disaster for farmers and oil workers, because the last time Donald Trump was president, it was a disaster for farmers and oil workers. Now, he really hasn't gotten to oil workers yet. But hey, farmers, how you doing?
Which, by the way, is kind of curious, too, because we've seen how the farmers have fared under Trump. In fact, I've done 2 farmer FAFO videos already about how Trump has done the farmers. But in the end, I understand a lot of you guys want to instinctively vote Republican. I get that. You have a senator who called a man who is asking about his benefits a clown, said he deserved it, doubled down on it, called him a clown and a left-wing activist, and then called it a woke job. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't even tell people I'm from Indiana. Like, really? I mean, that's embarrassing. Like, this has to be, this is the worst Trump imitation I have seen since Kristi Noem.
I'm not going to talk about my specific meetings with world leaders. I'm just not going to do that.
This is it. This might be worse than Kristi Noem, if we're being honest.
Wow. I'm not saying I was good at political messaging, but I did spend some time in political messaging, and a fired public servant is not someone I would ever advise any elected official of any political party to describe as a, quote, clown. But that was a Republican senator named Jim Banks, calling a fired HHS worker a, quote, clown. That happened on the same day that R.F. Kennedy Jr.'s Health and Human Services Department laid off nearly 10,000 employees, with employees at the Centers for Disease Control, the Food and Drug Administration, and the National Institutes of Health, NIH, hit hardest. Officials are calling it a brain drain of scientists and researchers, people who are working on things like HIV prevention and treatment and Alzheimer's research. Those are the people that Senator Banks thinks are clowns and, quote, deserved to be fired because they are, quote, clowns. It is that level of, I don't even know what we call it, political incompetence, personal callousness, and indifference, which might help explain last night's results in Wisconsin, after Elon Musk, who is the face of those callous mass firings, made the judicial election there a complete referendum about himself. Just ask him. Everett, Basil, and Minnie are all back. Basil, where do Democrats go from here?
Well, I think working with organized labor, number one, working with folks to do something I'm saying before, which is that when in situations like this, when people are being pushed out or fired, number one, take them to court. Make sure that if this is going to be done, and make sure that they're doing it legally, and if not, make sure that folks are getting their jobs back and back to work. Number one. Number two, I do think using that messaging, putting that senator's sort of remarks front and center, calling that guy a clown, and saying you probably deserve it. How many of his constituents are facing a similar situation right now? I would go to each one of them and say,
I can't believe that happened. I'm not shocked anymore. Can I see that again? I'm never shocked. I'm never shocked. And I'd read the
who does
video.
that?
Can I see? Let's play that one more time. This is.
Hi, I was a worker at HHS. I was fired illegally on February 14th. There are many people who are not getting social service programs, especially people with disabilities. Are you going to do anything to stop what's happening?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it?
You probably deserved it.
I deserved it.
Dude, that's
wow.
rude and sad.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Why did I deserve it?
Because you seem like a clown.
That's just despicable. I can't imagine any elected official ever doing something like that to someone who could be a constituent, let alone, just on camera and going to work in the hallowed halls of our government. I mean, it's unimaginable. And I think Democrats need to call that behavior out and make sure they pin it to every single Republican who has cheered Elon Musk.
Now, I echo the sentiment that Democrats need to pin this to every single Republican, but this is one of those things that doesn't seem to be a bug. It seems to be a feature. Yeah, they are pinning it to themselves. That is something that we have heard before. Because y'all remember Rich McCormick from Georgia when he was asked about free school lunches and he talked about putting those kids to work.
When you talk about school lunches, hey, I worked my way through high school. I don't know about you, but I worked since I was, before I was even 13 years old. I was picking berries in the field before we had child labor laws that precluded that. I was a paper boy.
And then had the political competence when he was corrected. Like, I know you didn't just say what I think you said, double down and said it again. Yeah, put those kids to work. The families that are needing free lunches, put those kids to work. We're talking about school-age kids, which unfortunately Ron DeSantis in Florida took literally.
A bill is advancing in the Florida legislature that would remove current child labor protections for 16 and 17-year-olds. From member station WFSU, Tristan Wood reports their employers could require them to work full-time and even overnights on school days.
Supporters say the bill would allow parents and families to make decisions about their children. Critics are saying it's coming up now to make up for labor shortages in the state due to crackdowns on immigration.
MAGA, are you paying attention? Did you not notice when all y'all came down here for the inauguration and you realized that you couldn't get in because they were moving it inside and there wasn't enough room alongside all of the billionaires? Yeah, but we gonna have a little something. We gonna have a little continental breakfast down there, down at the arena for y'all the night before, though. You know, so y'all go ahead and enjoy that. And granted, we'll definitely be selling all of the Trump wares, everything from the NFTs to the shot glasses with actual bullet fragments in it. Yeah. Y'all didn't realize what was up then? President-elect Trump will hold a rally-type event on January 19th at Capital One Arena in D.C., just ahead of his inauguration, according to multiple sources familiar with the planning. See, when AOC had to clean up Alina Habba when she tried to come for her for working in a bar, you remember that?
And I love when AOC lectures Elon Musk about not being intelligent. I'm like, oh, she's such a genius. You know, I'm inspired by her every word.
You were in the bar. You were in a bar.
Yeah.
You were in a bar, AOC.
Well, that's
Calm
the only
down
thing
and
she
not
and
to
I
have
have
a
in
drink,
common.
to serve one.
Exactly.
And the cleanup.
For all the big talk that Republicans and the Trump administration like to flap about working people, if you actually listen carefully, every once in a while they let the mask slip about what they actually think about us. You know, just last week, President Trump's lawyer, her name is Alina Habba, she went on television, and when she actually had to be faced with explaining her job, and when she actually had to be faced with doing her job, this is what she had to say. Quote, what intellectual thought? When she was asked about me, quote, what intellectual thought? You were in a bar. You were in a bar, AOC, and not to have a drink, but to serve one. And I want you all to understand, I don't care what this woman says about me, but But I want you to understand that she isn't just talking about me here. She's talking about you. She's talking about all of us. Because the entire job of the president's lawyer is to speak for him. Trump hired her to speak for him. So imagine what it means for our country that the president's own lawyer cannot even conceive of a working class person being intelligent simply because of the job that they have. She's too stupid. This woman could not even recognize the American dream if it was fed to her on a silver spoon.
What she said was occasionally they let the mask slip and they tell you exactly what they think and how they feel about you. Except in this case, the mask has slipped so often and so frequently, I don't see why that isn't just the refrain and the way that you know that they feel about you. It's happened far too many times at this point. Now, this is how wild that is. I put a video out talking about Elon Musk, the aforementioned Elon Musk, and him being packed up by Wisconsin. And I got a message from Katie in the chat, shout out to you, who said that Jim Banks was actually her representative. And she says, we actually have a lot of grease fires here in Indiana. Look up Micah Beckwith and Todd Rokita. Quote, we got a bunch of winners here in Indiana, clearly, all of them embarrass the state. And needless for me to not look up other embarrassments to the state of Indiana, and look what I find just with the Beckwith situation. Indiana, this you? This you, Indiana? Huh? You know what? I got one more for you, and this one is fresh. Yeah, that's you, Todd Rokita. Pride Lafayette calls on Indiana AG to apologize following April Fool's post. A social media post that Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita made for April Fool's Day, insinuating he changed his come and take it flag inside his office to the Progress Pride flag, has led to Lafayette Pride requesting a formal apology. In Rokita's post, the Indiana Attorney General stands beside both flags, with the Progress Pride flag image being edited into the photo over the come and take it flag. In the post, Rokita said, the left wins. They have finally brainwashed me. I'm taking down our come and take it flag and replacing it with this one, April Fools. Now, once we get past the fact that April Fool's jokes haven't been funny to this man for a good 30, 40 years. If he's doing it this year, he's 0 for his last 45 from when they were last funny. So, like, aside from we get past from that, let's just process exactly what's happening here. Because I am not a member of the LGBTQ community. However, what I understand that flag to mean is acceptance and non-judgment. I take that flag to mean equity and equality and love for all people. That's what I take that flag to mean. He used it as an April Fool's joke. When you use a symbol of equality and love and equity and respect for all people as a joke, you have given us all of the information. You have told us exactly how you feel. And as somebody who's not even in that community, you told me how you feel because that was a joke to you. Yes, Indiana, I'm looking at all y'all. Yeah, I know, yeah. And the land too. I'm looking at the cows. I'm looking at the grass. I'm looking at the wheat. I'm looking at the Pacers and the Fever. This what y'all doing? I'm not looking at the Colts because they better hope nobody looks at them. Honestly, we just look away when the Colts come around. Hey, shout out to all of the subscribers and members here on the channel. The day has finally arrived. We have new merch, which is live on the website. You'll notice some of that has some new logos. So I would love to get you guys' opinion on that. So stay tuned for some polls. Look out for those in the community tab. And by the way, those members, be on the lookout for a discount for you guys as well. And speaking of members, I definitely want to give a shout out to everybody who joined the last Members Live celebration. I wish Lauren Boebert would. I wish she would. Because I can go in the trunk. I can get my fat lever. You want me to get mellow on you? And speaking of which, apparently you guys really enjoy both the Black MAGA and the Karen content.
We have Republicans that are not even willing to address you.
Could that be a new regular bit on the horizon? Stay tuned.